We will start with the consent agenda. All the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved at AHA meetings will be approved by one vote unless any trustee desires to have a separate vote on any or all of these items. The consent agenda consists of a discussion, consideration, and action on the following items. Minutes of the monthly finance meeting on February 20th, 2018. Minutes of the regular trustee meeting on February 20th, 2018. And the check report February 9th, 2018 through March 8th, 2018.
I move the approval of the consent agenda as presented.
I second.
I have a motion by Dr. Brown, a second by Darlene Sanderson to approve the consent agenda. Roll call vote, please.
Gaspard,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Self,
Yes.
Sanderson,
Yes.
Simon,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
All right. First item, or next item, will be the CEO's report. Candace? Third day.
All right, why don't I get down? I did it myself.
Okay.
All right, so you can see that we've had some new staff hired. Hina, the long name that's hard to pronounce, we call her Hina Ray, is a new provider, a PA in the emergency room. She comes to us from New Jersey and is doing a great job in there. And then we've also hired Jennifer Nichols' husband, Mark, who is our clinical IT analyst. Mark's doing a great job and fitting in well and has dug right into Meditech. Renee Hillman is an RN in the physician's clinic, and then we've got a new housekeeper at the nursing home, Kaylee Rundle. And Carla Lowe is a business office clerk / I stole her for Dr. Lawrence's clinic. And she's doing a great job. Thank you, Heather. Heather hires all my good people. Anyway, Hannah Good is also an aide working at the nursing home. Attestation for our EHR has been completed for the hospital. Heather's husband, Alan and Mark attended a meeting in Oklahoma City last week regarding the new MIPS requirements, which have changed tremendously. I attended OHA's Rural Health Council March the 6th. It's a council that we meet and talk about specifics related to small hospitals in Oklahoma. And I will tell you that it's been in the news lately if you haven't seen it. Remember when we talked about that there was this really cool thing out there? It was a lab program where we could make bukus of money if we signed up to do this lab processing and everything. It turned out to be not so good, and people are probably going to jail over it. So we're so glad that we made the decision not to participate in that. You've seen that on the news lately. But this council actually reviewed that and wrote a letter to Oklahoma Rural Hospitals and sent it out as kind of a fair warning type thing. So that's a neat board to be on. Dr. Brown and Dr. Hannaford and I went to Weatherford a couple weeks back and participated with SSM in their strategic planning session for this year to see what they wanted, what we as rural hospitals wanted them to focus on in this upcoming year. So that was nice. This month has been all about quality. You'll see it, and Kevin will talk a little bit more about quality, or a lot more about quality when we get to it. But that is what our most recent survey from the state focused on, was our quality and reporting. And so we've been working hard with Darlene Bainbridge that developed our software, SQSS, that we talk about a lot. So we're thankful for that software, and it is going to help us stay on track for these upcoming quality measures. Let's see. I guess the last thing I have to tell you is that we met today and this is with Dr. Hicks, and he is going to be moving to the downtown clinic next Tuesday. Hopefully this will be a good move and give him more visibility. Patients just don't know he's here, so hopefully being in the downtown clinic will be a good move, and you can see more patients down there.
Is that starting immediately or?
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
We'll start that on Tuesday. I do not have anything else. Unless you have questions for me? I will say that we have got our survey back and sent it back in with the plan of correction back in. One of those areas was not accepted was the pharmacy. They needed more detail in our plan of correction for the pharmacy, and so we are working to clean that up, and I will probably send that off either tonight or in the morning, so that should be finished, and they then will come back and resurvey. So that's what we're kind of dealing with at this point. We also had a phone conference today, Bridget and Kevin and I phone conferenced with DNB to kind of help us figure out what's taking so long on our critical access status, and he gave us some pointers, so hopefully we can get that moving along.
Any questions for Candace? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the CEO's report as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Darlene Sanderson and second by Dr. Hannaford to approve the Share Medical Center written report for March 27, 2018. Roll call vote, please.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Self,
Yes.
Sanderson,
Yes.
Simon,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Getzberg.
Yes. Thank you, Candace. Next is the CFO's report. Kevin?
Okay. For the month of February, at the end of the month, we ended up with $82,108 worth of cash. That was 3.2 days worth of operating expenses. Our accounts receivable at the end of the month was $3,263,527. It increased by $207,944 from the prior month. Our accounts payable balance at the end of February was $864,173. That represents 69.9 days worth of operating expenses. Hospital gross patient revenue for the month totaled $1,899,017. That was an increase of $83,803 compared to the prior month. And you have to remember that's pretty good considering we had 3 less days to still increase revenue, so that was a good thing there. Changes in patient days from February were 122 compared to 96 in January, and clinic visits were 1550 in February compared to 1738. Our contractual plus bad debt and charity for February were 57.4% of gross patient revenue. Accounts written off to collection agency totaled $106,972, and charity care for the month totaled $27,555. Our net operating loss for February was $155,583, and net loss after sales tax and other things was $83,462. If we turn over to page 2, one of the things I want to point out, and I think is a really positive thing for us, we look down there in the expense section, professional fees, you can see that in December we were at $106,000, last month we were down to $25,596. This is due to the fact that we have got ER doctors that are employees. So what's happened is we have been able to have staff cover the emergency room as our employees, which has saved us that much money. And we had some expenses, but that's also a savings, so that's helped us out as well. We continue to always look at expenses and stuff as much as we can. Our really only big issue that we have, well, we have several issues, but one of the issues that we'd really like to resolve if we could is if anybody knows of any RNs staffing, we are still underneath a lot of contract staffing for RNs. And that continues to put pressure on us. So if you have anybody or know of anybody, to recommend them to come to
We'll pay your
CS
finder's fee.
to get it, because that would really help us out even more in our financials.
Hold on one second. Kelly, can you go back and look on our scholarship applications back 5, 6, 7 years ago? And just, we can maybe see if there's somebody that we've missed along the way that maybe would be getting out. All right.
Yes, sir.
And really, otherwise, expenses were pretty much the same from month to month. Page 3 is just kind of gives you the breakdown of the expenses, of the other expenses there. On page 4 is our 2 years side to side. You can see we posted about $1 million more this year compared to last year. One of the things we talked about in finance today is when we get down to the net patient revenue, even though we posted $1 million worth more revenue, we're about $300,000 down in net revenue. Part of that was, even though we did an increase in charges last year, most of that went straight to contractual, so all that increase, that volume change. The other issue we had is we've noticed a shift to a lot more self-pay patients than we did in the prior year, about $250,000 so from the same 7 months from the year before. So it's just a little bit longer to collect the cash and stuff from those patients, and it makes it a little bit harder for us to collect from them. But you can see that we're down about $300,000 net. Expenses are almost the same year to year. This year we're at a net loss from operations after sales tax of $1,129,769 compared to the prior year of $801,136. Page 5 just gives you a statement of cash flow. It just shows you that our cash did decrease last month by about $99,000, almost $100,000 from the prior month. We ended up at $82,018. Pages 6 and 7 is your accounts receivable. Pages 8 and 9 is your balance sheets. And the last 4 pages is all your statistical summaries. You can see by provider and different departments of where our volumes were for each of the months and back for the last 5 years actually. So, is there any questions?
Any questions for Kevin? If not, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. Next is the Medical Staff Executive Committee, Chief of Staff, Dr. Self.
We met a couple of times, met on the 8th and on the 21st. The 21st was to go over these policies. So we unanimously voted to approve the allied health privileges to Hina Ray, PA, and so from the medical staff, I'll make a motion that we make an appointment to allied staff of Hina Kamari Ray, PA.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. Self, a second by Hala Simon, to appoint to allied staff Hina Kamari Ray, PA. Roll call vote, please.
Sell.
Yes.
Sanderson.
Yes.
Simon.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Gaspard.
Yes.
Hannaford.
Yes.
And also we unanimously voted to appoint, to recommend appointment to allied staff Aaron Page Little, PA, and I'll make that motion.
Second.
Have a motion by Dr. Self, second by Darlene Sanderson, to appoint to allied staff Aaron Page Little, PA. Roll call vote, please.
Sanderson.
Yes.
Simon.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Gaspard.
Yes.
Hannaford.
Yes.
Sell.
Yes. Kevin, you want to talk about the copy?
Yeah, I'll talk about the coffee stuff. Yeah.
Dr. Self, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And appreciate what you've been doing.
Are you ready for me do the.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you
Okay.
take over.
All right, so that's fine, so make sure.
Sorry, Kevin
That's
will
fine.
talk about Quappy.
One of the things through our corrective action plan is like Ken says, we have to look at our quality program, and it needs to go all the way up. And so I need to kind of explain to you maybe the process of how all this works and how you guys fit into this equation. So the way our quality program is set up is we have a program called SQSS. It's our quality system program that we have reminders to do things, make sure we do all of our tasks and stuff. And one of the things we do is we look at that at Quappy, but before a lot of things even get to Quappy, there's other meetings that have to happen, and there has to go through certain committees to get there. And normally, the first committee that has to have everything start is what is our policy and procedure committee. That's where our policies on an annual basis will come from, as well as any new policies. And that policy and procedure committee has to have a physician on there, which we do have, and a mid-level, plus 3 other people that we have. Well, we actually have 4. It's myself, our clinical analyst, our IT person, and Ashley as the corporate compliance and quality person. So we sit down, we review the policies, we discuss them, and then once they're approved, then it has to move on to the next committee. That committee could be the safety committee, if it involves safety issues, which some of these policies that we're going to talk about involves that. And if it goes to the safety committee, once it's approved there, then it has to go to the quality meeting, or the Quappy meeting. If it does not deal with safety, it goes straight on to the quality committee. At that time, through the qualities committee, all those policies and procedures go through that committee. They have to be approved, they can be discussed again. Then once that is completed, then those policies and procedures then have to go to the medical staff. And that's the reason it's really important to have a physician and mid-level in our policies and procedure committee, because they can make recommendations to the medical staff as a whole of whether or not to approve those policies. Once that's done, then it comes to the board, and that's where you guys have the ultimate authority to say whether you agree or not agree with those policies. And that's kind of the process that we have to go through. So we had a couple of different quality meetings last month, but the one I really want to talk about is the one on the 21st. This is the one that dealt with our corrective action plan. And of course, the way this will work is you'll see that we'll have a topic, and then like we'll take an example here: quarterly education for staff on improving satisfaction and reducing complaints and grievances. We tell you what the topics are. There was an issue that came up through our quality correction plan. Then we had a discussion about what's going to happen. And then our action plan is that for this one, we're going to develop a quarterly SQS staff to send education material to staff and re-education of patient complaints, grievances, and improving patient satisfaction. We're going to have to review this for 6 months, and so every month you're going to get an update of where we stand on this. If it's working good after 6 months, I mean, if we get 100% or whatever our percentage that we say we're going to meet, then that can go off. If not, it stays on here. We're also going to be watching other initiatives and stuff. We've got other things that we're watching throughout the building that will also show up through this meeting. But if we go through here, and I'll let you guys kind of read through the different issues that we're going to be dealing with, and that way you guys know of what we're dealing with, and then you can ask questions if you have any questions about what we're doing. You know, we have to have job descriptions. You know, we have to have. You know, the pharmacy was an issue. You know, weekly auditing of the pharmacy by pharmacists. We tell who's going to do it, when it's going to be done, and who's going to monitor it. Then it's up to us to monitor it. And then it's up to you guys to hold our feet to the fire to make sure it's done too. Because we got to make sure that you know on a 5,000-foot level that we're doing what we need to do here at the facility for you guys. But you can kind of go through there and see all the different issues that we might have had at one time or another through the correction action plan. And we're using this quality software that will really help us monitor that, because otherwise this will be almost next to impossible to keep track of and stuff as we move forward. And there's a lot here tonight, I'm just going to tell you that. So if you have any questions you're looking through, just ask any questions, there's no problem.
It says weekly auditing of pharmacy by pharmacist for the first 60 days, and then to be determined. How often was it audited prior to?
It was being audited weekly, but we didn't have documentation good enough for that, so now we got a
Okay.
system to where he'll be checking off of it and stuff like that.
Okay.
We also had to hire an outside pharmacy company that checks the drugs that we dispense on a daily basis. So, I mean, that was a new contract we entered into.
And since we don't have a pharmacist on staff that's actually here every day, we actually don't have a pharmacy, it's actually a drug room. But the software is cool in that all of our activity, so if any one of us is gone and a surveyor were to walk in, we all have access to SQSS, and they would be, an employee would be able to pull up and show a surveyor what they need to see.
Okay.
Instead of it being, part of it being in a book here and a book here, you know, spread all over the building. It's all in that software and should be able to be accessed. And actually, she said the surveyors are getting pretty good themselves at navigating that particular software, so.
So,
possibility of
right,
using it.
so if we get reports back, like we have to check to make sure our fuel's good fuel. So we'll get a report back for us, scan that into SQSS, so when they come, we won't be scrambling around trying to find the report. They can just pull that up and say it's there, if there's a report attached to it. So it's kind of a nice system to have.
Yeah, be great.
This is probably the most important key information as far as a surveyor is concerned, that you as a board know what's going on in the hospital. You know, financials are one thing, but from a surveyor's perspective and safety of patient care, this is what they're looking for. It's a pretty lengthy report now, but it should get smaller and smaller as we go.
So like if you get back to QQ, it says weekly, monthly, and annual testing of generator. So we were testing generators tonight, so that report's gonna get scanned in there, and it'll be in there, so you guys will know. So that's just, I mean, that's one of those things we have to do.
We just want you to hear it,
Yeah, it's
right?
there, so we. All our occurrences are also reviewed through there, from medication errors to patient injuries to employee injuries, whatever. And those are always reviewed at our meeting. And it goes on back up this way, so I mean, just so you know that as well.
And then each time that you guys approve a new policy or whatever, then it's gonna come down here under improvement in patient care.
Correct.
We're going to approve.
Right.
Basically, if you look at item number 4 on this QAPI, you'll see A through I or whatever, and these are all things we're getting ready to approve here on patient care.
Right, it shows you where it started at policy and procedure and went all the way up through, so.
But there isn't anything that you guys believe at this time that is not, it's not correctable or it's not taken care of, correct?
Correct, I think we've got it all addressed.
We're all good. Okay, does does anybody have any questions for Kevin or Candace or even Dr. Self on Quappy? If not, then we will move to improvement to patient care.
Robini?
Yeah.
A is the contract review of quality evaluation, and that is the list of 12 contracts that between Kevin and I, we reviewed for compliance. And they were all found to be in compliance on the validation calendar.
Okay. No.
I guess not.
No.
Next, B through K, these are all policies, as Jason was talking about, that came up that either needed written or tweaked. And that has been done. These policies are here, have been reviewed, and went through the appropriate committees. And I bring those to you for approval or disapproval of policies B through K.
We'll need to approve those
Individually.
individually. So,
I tried, people, I tried. I'm sorry, it was a good try. B,
so the first, yeah, go ahead.
approval, disapproval of the annual infection control risk assessment.
I'll make that motion that we approve the annual infection control risk assessment.
Second.
I have a motion by Dr. Self, second by Dr. Hannaford, to approve the annual infection control risk assessment. Roll call vote, please.
Simon?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Jasper?
Yes.
Hannaford?
Yes.
Self?
Yes.
Sanderson?
Yes.
Make a motion that we approve the IV therapy policy.
I second.
I have a motion by Dr. Self, a second by Darlene Sanderson, to approve the IV therapy policy. Roll call vote, please.
Brown?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Jasper?
Yes.
Hannaford?
Yes.
Self?
Yes.
Sanderson?
Yes.
Simon?
Yes.
Make a motion that we approve the fire safety, fire risk assessment for surgery policy.
Okay. That'll work. We can come back to that. Go ahead.
Skip B.
It's all right.
Second.
Have a motion by Dr. Self, a second by Dr. Hannaford, to approve the fire safety and fire risk assessment for surgery policy. Roll call vote, please.
Jasper?
Yes.
Hannaford?
Yes.
Self?
Yes.
Sanderson?
Yes.
Simon?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Okay, so we need to go back up to the code red fire alarm, false alarm policy.
Okay, I make a motion we approve the code red fire alarm / false alarm policy.
Second.
Have a motion by Dr. Self, a second by Darlene Sanderson, to approve the code red fire alarm, false alarm policy. Roll call vote, please.
Ward?
Yes.
Jasper?
Yes.
Hannaford?
Yes.
Self?
Yes.
Sanderson?
Yes.
Simon?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Okay,
Make a motion we approve the discharge criteria for phase 2 post anesthesia care outpatient policy.
Second.
have a motion by Dr. Self, second by Steve Ward, to approve the discharge criteria for phase 2 post anesthesia care outpatient policy. Roll call vote, please.
Hannaford?
Yes.
Self?
Yes.
Sanderson?
Yes.
Simon?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Jasper?
Yes. The Surgical Services Department Safety.
I'll make a motion we approve the surgical services department safety policy.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. Self, a second by Dr. Hannaford, to approve the Surgical Services Department Safety Policy. Roll call vote, please.
Self?
Yes.
Sanderson?
Yes.
Simon?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Jasper?
Yes.
Hannaford?
Yes.
Make a motion that we approve the humidity control and temperature documents policy.
Second.
Have a motion by Dr. Self, second by Haley Simon, to approve the humidity control and temperature documents policy. Roll call vote, please.
Sanderson?
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 Oh, yes.
Simon? Yes. Brown?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Gasper?
Yes.
Hannaford?
Yes.
Self?
Yes.
A little distracted down there.
Bueller? The Sophia 2 influenza A and B FIA.
I move that we approve the Sophia 2 influenza A, B, FIA policy.
Second.
Have a motion by Darlene Sanderson, a second by Dr. Hannaford, to approve the Sophia 2 influenza A and B FIA policy. Roll call vote, please.
Simon?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Gasper?
Yes.
Hannaford?
Yes.
Self?
Yes.
Sanderson?
Yes.
The disaster preparedness manual.
I move that we approve the disaster preparedness manual.
Second.
We have a motion by Darlene Sanderson, a second by Dr. Hannaford, to approve the disaster preparedness manual. Roll call vote, please.
Brown?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Gasper?
Yes.
Hannaford?
Yes.
Self?
Yes.
Sanderson?
Yes.
Simon?
Yes.
The grievance policy.
Make a motion, we approve the grievance policy.
Second.
I have a motion by Dr. Self, a second by Darlene Sanderson, to approve the grievance policy. Roll call vote, please.
Ward?
Yes.
Gasper?
Yes.
Hannaford?
Yes.
Self?
Yes.
Sanderson?
Yes.
Simon?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Exactly. I think we need a few more of those next month.
Careful what you wish for.
I know. I was being facetious. All right, thank you all. Next item is the Chair Convalescent Home Report.
Well,
Rita?
I have something to say from you from the last meeting. I believe you asked something about the flu,
Mm-hmm.
and I told you.
Yes.
But the good news is we only had one positive case in February, and it didn't go through the building, so. But next year.
I understand.
do it. Okay. Just want you
I'll
to know
keep
that.
shut.
Meetings and education, Christy and Toby provided in-service education on fall prevention and medication administration errors. Went over policies, procedures, prevention, different things that we have tried with residents that has helped with their fall prevention. Talked to the nurses about any kind of medication administration policies, procedures, and issues there. Valentine's Day was in February, and the 4th and 5th graders made Valentine's cards for all the residents and brought them to them. And of course, we appreciate any outside organizations bringing things and participating with our residents. They really enjoy to see outside people, kids, dogs, cats, birds, everything come in. They're not picky. They just like interaction. Our skilled census days decreased to 118 from 211 in February. Our average daily census for February was 56. We did have quite a few hospital days. Our residents were in the hospital, so that does impact on our average daily census. Staffing has been a struggle, mainly 7 to 3 shift and licensed nurses. However, I did contact one of my 2-year-old CNA, graduated from RN school, and Pastor Inflex called me, and she's willing to work a couple of shifts. So, 1 out of 20, it doesn't matter, at least she's going to help a bit. And I've been in contact with her for a while. I believe we've hired several new CNAs February was kind of slow, but March, I'm almost thinking we've hired like 8 or 9, seems like. And we will need those to fill in shifts that we've been replacing or staffing with agency nurses. Our agency staffing was down from January, but it's not down where I want it to be, or anybody wants it to be. Housekeeping has hired a couple of new employees. They're going to be like part-time employees. They go to school, but they're willing to work any hours, including any day, any hour of the day. So that works for them and works for us. Dietary, I believe, finally is fully staffed. I'll let Kelly talk about Homestead. I took one of his employees. Candace told me how to steal. Anyway, well.
Talk about turnover.
Probably will. Our biannual kitchen fire extinguisher inspection, it was completed. There was no issues found. Brett Kinnaman with K-Meds did show up in February and inspected our stand-up lifts. He took 3 stand-up lifts and a tow body lift out of service, which put us all in a panic. Those lifts are vital to transferring residents and providing safety to our staff and our residents. We had a meeting for the SMC Foundation. We were able to get funding for those. They're being built. And hopefully they'll be here soon. We need them badly. He also provided a list of parts in our remaining lifts that I believe our workman's comp insurance or OHA is going to help with the funding of those parts to get them up to snuff. They are also going to be doing yearly inspections of all those lifts. That way we're just not rained on, and we can do it a little at a time. Those lifts are absolutely vital. We have to have them. We've done well getting by, but we're waiting patiently for the new ones. Financials, operating cash balance for February was $48,839, which represents work days of operating expenses. The convalescent home accounts receivable balance was $623,257, which was an increase of $56,656. Accounts payable balance for February was $193,162, represents 34 days of operating expenses. Gross patient revenue for the month totaled $373,594, which was $48,000, $147 increase. I'm not going to go over that, not going to read that. The convalescent home operating expenses, excluding salaries, benefits, and depreciation, was $138,030, a decrease of $27,204. Convalescent home salaries and wages for February totaled $133,367, which was a decrease of $3,731. Our net operating profit or income was $73,408. Our net income for February was $73,415. And on page 2, you can see where we did better than last month. Gosh, I just can't tell you what we would do without Kevin. Kevin's been very helpful, and he's always there if I have a question. Page page 3, our year-to-date is $241,500, which was considerably more, but Kevin and I did talk about maybe looking at a couple of things as far as charges for in the next fiscal year. Hopefully. Our staff graphs on the back, you can see we're much better off than what we have been over previous years. I can tell you right now, if I had 10 beds available, I could fill them. It's just constant. They want private rooms, they need those private rooms, and we're moving furniture constantly, just trying to make rooms. And the balance sheet. And you know, I discussed the balance sheet last time, just like that. Any questions? Sorry. Kevin's good, but he's got to have a good student.
Any questions? If not, Rita, thank you. And I'll try to bring you more courses.
I would think so. They might come back.
Next item is the homestead report, Kelly.
Well, I believe I got the short end of the curse. February, we're almost through with March. Thinking that February would be way back in the rearview mirror, because February was a rough month at the homestead. We had, unofficially, we don't keep official records of illness or anything like that, but unofficially I think we had at one point about 25% of our resident population had been affected by the flu in some form or fashion. And a significant number of them ended up being hospitalized, whether for the flu or a related illness. And so we had a rough February. Presently, we still have, stemming from that and also some other health issues with our residents in the last few weeks. We have 8 residents right now who are off campus at another healthcare facility, whether this one or otherwise, receiving treatment for various issues. So I think for the most part we're expecting most of them to return to the homestead upon their rehabilitation programs, but I do know that there's probably a couple that will be moving out. So our occupancy as far as rented apartments goes has been high. It has been higher in the past, but this is pretty high right now. It hasn't. We've only had, I think, 1 or 2 months that we had a higher occupancy percentage than what we have at the moment. So business is good. We are at the end of February. We had 45.7 average nights, and that's 84.6% occupancy, which was 11, almost 12% increase from the previous month. So we had kind of been waiting on a good number of people to go ahead and move in, and then it happened. And February was busy with new move-ins, busy with people being ill, busy with our staff provided a great number of room service meals. It's something we do, but it's not something we typically do in that high of a volume. But we were hopping. And we had, not trying to paint all the doom and gloom, but we did also have about 160 hours of paid time off for employees who either had illness or family emergencies. So no fun trips in February. So, but we survived, and March is going well. I look forward to having those numbers for you next month. Our occupancy percentage will drop in March, even though our number of residents will not likely drop, and that's because we did add one room to the mix as available for rent, and then that'll change kind of the way things play out again in April as we're adding one more apartment to the mix. We had previous to me coming to the homestead, so then prior to 2012 or 2013, they had taken one-bedroom apartments that were side by side, taken the wall out in between and turned them into one apartment. Because of demand, we have put those walls back to make more one-bedroom apartments available. So we can have the same number of people but a lower occupancy, because of that. But we have more room for people now moving forward. So we'll have a total of 55 apartments available moving after April 1st, and look forward to filling them up. All of our February activities were down. We canceled activities for the majority of the month. We did get to have our Valentine's Day dinner with residents and their guests on February 28th. So we got it in before March, but just barely. It was a huge success. Steak and shrimp, and I had many compliments from the residents and their family for the event. We also, that same night, had a birthday party that we catered for one of our residents with another probably 25 people at that. So February 28th was it was 101st birthday, by the way. So don't get those very often. So that was neat. Rita talked about my turnover. And I hadn't talked about my turnover much for a few months because I didn't want to jinx it, but I went for probably 3 months without any turnover. And it was a good period. I mean, we were able to really get our teamwork going and having some positive outcomes. And then for reasons, she didn't steal her. I mean, the kid went and got a degree and, wanted to move up the ladder a little bit. Who can blame her? I had that happen with 2 employees. I had another employee with some family situations that caused him to move out of town. So I had a total turnover of about 3 employees in February. Nothing to do with,
You stole one of ours too, so.
I did.
You did?
In March.
I wasn't going to say anything, but if we're just going to lay it all out there.
That's how you play the game.
And that's working out well too.
For a player to be named later. Good draft pick.
The 3rd round. I don't know. I don't want to steal Bo's thunder, but we did.
He took one of your employees.
No, I didn't. Looking, no. We did propose our 5-year budget needs to the city for their consideration. The city's responsibility to deal with the public areas of the homestead, the medical center's responsibility to deal with the resident areas of the homestead. So we did make a recommendation for those budget items to be approved. And of course, they're not approved, so I'm not going to necessarily say what they are, but tentatively slated in the budget. A little over 100, maybe 150 grand worth of capital items to improve the homestead. So hopefully, as budget planning continues for the city, those numbers don't come down too much. So financials. February was our 2nd highest revenue month this year, and it was our lowest expense month this year. So it was also our highest net month this year at $29,319 income over expenses. So I attribute that to a couple things. One, February is a short month. We didn't have as many supply expenses. But 2, I'll give kudos to Karen Campbell. I think Rita would do the same, but Karen has been doing a phenomenal job managing the kitchen, which is our highest, the homestead's highest expense categories in the kitchen. So Karen's been doing a phenomenal job, and we appreciate everything that she's done there, both with the staff as well as the inventory and the quality of the food that's coming out of the kitchen. But year to date, our revenue is down about $15,000. We're at $575,000 year to date versus $590, almost $591 last year. Our expenses are up, though they were down in February. They're up altogether by about $38,000. We have had a lot of maintenance issues and some upgrades to get rooms ready for new residents moving in and that sort of thing. So our expenses are at $482,000, almost $483,000, but that leaves us with a net income of just under $93,000, which is down from last year about $54,000. But I think we'll probably see all of that recouped in the next fiscal year. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Kelly? If not, Kelly, thank you for that report. Do you have anything to report from Foundation?
Just 2 items, or 3 items for the foundation. One is that, as Rita mentioned, the board did meet for a special meeting to approve funding for the patient lifts at the nursing home. So we look forward to getting that invoice so we can get that paid. The Alva Hospital Authority scholarship applications, that period for application is over, and now the board is reviewing the applications. I think we have about 10 altogether. 10 altogether for review, and I have not yet looked to see what's what with them. The board will do the voting. I just kind of am curious to see who's applied for what, and that is sent out to all of the area high schools. It's largely applied for by the Alva kids, though. So, but the board will be voting on scholarship winner here before long, and in probably the next couple weeks, you'll be receiving in the mail an invitation to the annual volunteer and donor appreciation dinner. That will be April 19th at the Runnymede at 6 p.m. If you don't receive an invitation, this is your invitation.
Yeah, been there.
It's we're going to kind of follow the same venue as we did last year. Our staff are going to prepare the meal. We'll be having steak, baked potatoes, so make plans to attend. We'll try to find some
What day of the week
cheesecake.
is that?
Thursday. There will be a conflict at Spring in Alva.
April 19th.
I don't know what all the conflicts are, but there's always a conflict. So, but it's the same weekend we did last year, or same week we did last year. And I'll answer any questions on the foundation report.
Any questions for Kelly? If not, Kelly, thank you. Next is St. Anthony's report.
We had our annual medical staff retreat at the end of January, and Candace and Dr. Lawrence joined us, and I think it was a little shortened version this year, but I think we got some good content out of it and some good takeaways. We followed that up with the joint strategic planning retreat that Candace talked about, and we appreciate Dr. Hannaford and Dr. Brown joining us along with Candace. I think we had some really good takeaways. I think there were some strategies that the affiliates were talking about that they could work on among themselves, as well as some strategies for us, for takeaways and goals for 2018. Both sessions, we had lots of conversations about telemedicine, I think for lots of different reasons, and resources. I think we've talked about this numerous times for physicians and other specialist services, are definitely in need, and a lot of the specialists are so busy in the metro areas, it's hard for them to get out, and so we have really pushed this year for that to be a strong strong strategy at St. Anthony's. So I think the speakers were good and on target for telemedicine, and the medical staff at Truton prompted some renewed interest. So we have done a telemedicine, some demos, we've done an expo, and we had a really good turnout from our specialists. So we're hoping to keep that momentum going. We will be applying for our REST grant to replace our existing equipment and to add to that equipment so that we can expand further. Our hope is to branch out into inpatient consults once we secure the new equipment. Some of the older equipment works great with the face-to-face and the stethoscopes, but some of the technology is really advanced when it comes to ENT and some of the other specialties, really feeling like confident that they can make good diagnosis off the equipment. So lots of conversations about telemedicine, more to come on that. Just an update, we are going to engage in the Weatherford Regional Hospital Management Agreement effective April 1st, so just right around the corner. So we were excited to have that opportunity. As a board, they were looking to find a management company, and so we certainly wanted to extend our services, and we're happy that they chose us to move forward. And just a reminder that OHA Advocacy Day is on April 9th and 10th. We still have lots of things to tackle from the healthcare environment for revenue sources this year. So just a reminder that if you happen to be up that way, join in. I think our voices still need to be heard very loudly this year. So that's pretty much all I have, unless y'all have any particular questions.
Any questions for Bridget? If not, Bridget, thank you for being with us all day.
Yes.
Appreciate that. Next, the city council report.
Some of the highlights, big one was appointment of Connor Martin as a new city council member. As soon as he was sworn in, he was appointed to several different committees, as well as Megan Caldwell to the Planning Commission. We approved capital outlay, some small contracts, annual maintenance agreements. Kelly talked about the FY19 capital outlay. Felt our budget retreat went very well, and feel like we're much ahead of where we were the year before on planning for some of those capital outlay items. Had action on, or had the annual evaluation on our city manager, which was very favorable. We have continuing negotiations going on with our local firefighters. And with that, that is my report, and I'll answer any questions if I can.
Any questions for Bill? If not, thank you for your report. I do not have anything else to report. There are no items of new business, so we are adjourned.